how does the gut affect how we feel? Is gluten really that bad for us? And how much can we have? What about if we are fighting autoimmunity? We will get to all of this today in part 2 of my interview with Dr. Tom O'Brien, functional health expert and best-selling author. Dr. Tom shares with us how the way we eat is so vastly different from our ancestors, but yet the body is still brilliantly designed the same way. Praise God. And through our food and lifestyle, we are actually hindering the body's abilities to react the way it was designed to do to protect us. The fact of the matter is, the food that you eat and the lifestyle you live greatly affects your brain and energy levels. Therefore, guys, it is imperative that if you want a good quality of life, if you want longevity and you want to age well, you need to discover the roadmap for your body. This is no one-size-fits-all protocol, right? What does your body need to be well? And really, ask yourself, do you believe that you can discover what your body needs? Because I assure you, you absolutely can. With the right nutritional and lifestyle protocol for you, before you know it, you will be waking up feeling rested, you will still have energy at 3 p.m., and you will want to actually do something when you get home from work. How does that sound to you? It can happen, just like my client who, after working together on her specific gut issues, she realized how much better she felt since she stopped eating the exact foods that were causing her so much pain, so much GI distress, and since fatigue was a huge issue for her, wanting to take a nap in the afternoon, but she kept pushing through, and felt completely exhausted when she got home. Does that sound like you? But see, she was thrilled that her energy that she really thought was her age, it came back. Energy to go out at night again and not pay for it the next morning. Now, don't you agree that that can be you too? I know it can. And before we get to part 2, pause this right now and click the link to get on my schedule for your fatigue freedom call. This is where we will discuss your specific fatigue concerns so you really understand the why behind your specific low energy and really all that is coming with that daily fatigue. And you can have hope that you really can heal and recover, because I promise you, you can. Okay, friend, let's continue on with part 2 of my interview with Dr. Tom O'Brien.
You need to bleed once a month. And when you do that as a woman, you reduce your fibrinogen levels, you reduce your clotting factors, your blood's a little thinner again, as your body has been accustomed to for the last 25, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll pause there and let you get a question in. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I love your passion. And it just, I feel so much passion for what I do as well. And my life experiences are part of that too, just as yours. And so in my programs, I help my clients reduce toxic inflammation, and that is especially causing debilitating fatigue, like adrenal fatigue and brain fog and all of that. But I want to, like I said, I could go so many different places, but I want to bring it back to the gluten connection as a major cause of inflammation. I go into more detail in my programs in my gluten-free living section, where I'm using a lot of your fabulous work as a guide for my clients.
Great.
And that's where this interview will be in as well. And I've shared on the podcast before about our daughter's story. Now, it took us 3 years to get to the reason why she was having migraines and chronic headaches and skin conditions and all of that. And we discovered her gluten intolerance. And essentially, I would like you to give us a quick explanation of how gluten can affect anyone on a cellular level, and kind of a follow-up. Do you really need to test for gluten intolerance, celiac, or can you just avoid it? Because a lot of people have, I've had this conversation with a lot of women where they're like, I've avoided it. I know it's not good for me, but if I want to get tested, they make me eat 2 weeks of gluten.
Yeah,
So
that's
I would
nonsense.
like you to talk on that as well, too, if you don't mind.
Sure, of course, of course. Inside, Mrs. Patient, your digestive system is a tube. Starts at the mouth, goes to the other end. One big long tube, 20, 25 feet long. When we swallow food, it goes into the stomach. The stomach produces this really strong acid that can eat through the wood on this table. But the acid can sit in your stomach all day. It's normal for it to be there. That's okay. One of the reasons for that acid, there's two main reasons. One is to start breaking down proteins, but also the second one is to kill any bugs on the food. You have the same body as your ancestor thousands of years ago, the exact same digestive system, the same heart, the same lungs, the same liver, the same reproductive system. Everything's the same. And 10,000 years ago, agriculture began. Now that's a blip on the screen in human existence here, right? So before agriculture, our ancestors were nomads. They followed the herds. And so they're always looking for food. That was the number one concern, food. Number two was safety. So they look around, they find something. First thing they do, smell it, then nibble at it, then they eat it. If there were bugs on that food, it's the job of the acid in your stomach to kill those bugs. But if it doesn't kill the bugs, and this glob of food that we're eating goes from the stomach into the first part of the small intestine, you have sentries standing guard in the first part of the small intestine. I think of the soldiers at Buckingham Palace, those guys with the big hats, they're as stiff and dormant as can be, just standing there, but don't mess with those guys. You do not mess with those guys. The sentries standing guard in your gut, by the ones in our gut are called toll-like receptors. And toll-like receptor 4 is specifically looking for bugs in the food that we eat. That's all it does. It's looking for bacteria and parasites. When it sees a bug in the food, two things happen within 5 minutes. Two things. First, it increases the protein zonulin. Now, I'm sorry, I don't mean to get geeky, but that's what Fasano and his team identified in 1997. It's the protein zonulin that causes leaky gut. And so toll-like receptor sends the message and zonulin levels go up within 5 minutes. And now you've got leaky gut. Why? Because when you have a leaky gut, water from the body comes in, it leaks into the gut, and it washes out the bug with the poop. So the bug never has a chance. It's a beautiful defensive system we got. That's the first thing that toll-like receptor 4 does. The second thing it does, also within 5 minutes, is activate NF-kappa B, the major amplifier of inflammation in the body. What do I mean by that? It's the desk sergeant at the police station. You guys, you're in this neighborhood patrolling today. You guys, you're over here in this neighborhood. NF-kappa B calls the armed forces. All right, I need more cytokines. I need IL-1 beta over here. I need some tumor necrosis factor over here. Get rid of this bug. Get rid of this bug now. So toll-like receptor activates the desk sergeant, who then directs our immune system to fight this thing, this bug that's in our gut. It's this beautiful system we have that kept us alive. Those that did not have that kind of efficient response from toll-like receptors when they ate food with bugs on it, they died. They did not reproduce. Those that were efficient reproduced. We are their progeny. So all of us have these toll-like receptors working really well in us to protect us from bugs. We don't need them so much today, but all of us have it. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, that's the human body. That's how the body works. Fasano and his team showed us every human activates toll-like receptor 4 when they eat wheat, because our bodies can't digest wheat down into the small particles of protein that we need called amino acids. We humans cannot digest wheat. So the result is, think of proteins like a pearl necklace, and the acid in your stomach undoes the clasp of the pearl necklace. Now you have a string of pearls. Mm-hmm. And our digestive enzymes act as scissors to snip, 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 snip the pearl necklace down to each pearl of the pearl necklace, which goes right through the walls of the intestine into the bloodstream. And then, and your bloodstream is just a highway. It's off on the highway. And now these amino acids go to make new bone cells or muscle cells or brain cells. That's the way our body works. But we can't break down the proteins of wheat into each pearl of the pearl necklace, the amino acids. No human can do that. So they break down into clumps of pearls of the pearl necklace. Now those clumps of pearls of the pearl necklace, so they're protein pieces, those clumps look like the outer shell of a bug. So every single time you eat wheat, you activate toll-like receptor 4, creating leaky gut and activating the desk sergeant to mobilize the armed forces trying to protect you from what it's identified as the outer shell, the outer bacteria, the outer armor of a bug. Now, Maureen Leonard is a famous gastroenterologist at Harvard. And in 2017, she did a literature review of over 60 studies on this topic that I've just explained to you. And she found her quote was, gluten activates toll-like receptor 4 in all humans who consume it. All was the underlying word. Not some, not once in a while, all. So, and there is one more study I'd like to show you because it's jaw-dropping. Let me see if I can bring it up here. I'm pretty sure I can. As on this topic about wheat and gluten. Yeah, here it is. Good. Good. So there is a one of the men I interviewed for the inflammation equation, which is at theinflammationequation.com, is Professor Yehuda Schoenfeld. Professor Schoenfeld is the godfather of autoimmunity. He's got over 3,000 research papers published, something like 55 medical textbooks, hosts the Autoimmunity Congress every year in a different part of the world. And there's always 1,000 or more doctors that come from all over the world to hear the best in autoimmunity. He is the godfather. And he published a paper that I want to show you here. So let me see for that button to share screen again. There it is. Okay, and let me see, where is the, okay, it's not there. So I'm going to share here, and now you see my whole screen. And let's see if I can bring up, there it is. This, do you see the study now?
Yes.
Okay, look at the title of the study. The gluten-free diet can ameliorate the symptoms of non-celiac autoimmune diseases. And he tells us that despite the many nutritional values of gluten-containing grains, gluten itself is not essential in the diet, and its biological value is not high. They looked at 83 articles on this topic of autoimmune diseases, and they found that 65% of the patients with autoimmune disease get better on a gluten-free diet, and this was confirmed in 79% of the studies. So it's not every person every time. And it's from 9 months old to 69 years old. And the autoimmune diseases that responded the best were psoriasis, thyroid disease, inflammatory bowel diseases. And here is the drawing they did. Now, nobody can read that, so I put here what each of these are. That's Addison's, that's autoimmune disease of the adrenal glands, and there's the pancreas, and there's the liver, and there's the thyroid, and there's the heart. And I'm just going to accelerate this. These are all of the autoimmune diseases that may get better on a gluten-free diet without celiac disease. So when you see the godfather of autoimmunity saying, 79% of the studies say that 65% of the people get better from their autoimmune disease on a gluten-free diet, who are you not going to check to see if they have a sensitivity to wheat? Who are you not going to check? That's the question that I often ask doctors when I show them these studies. Who are you not going to check? You just want to check them all, because just to make sure. And then the goal is always to do the right test.
Right, exactly. And, I'm just going to give myself as an experience here, just for our listeners. So I went pretty much gluten-free, right? Pretty much gluten-free. And the only gluten that I was eating was from the Ezekiel bread, which is sprouted grains, which is a whole other conversation. But the sprouted grains was better, because when we took our daughter off gluten 21 years ago, there was nothing. Like, I had to bake from scratch. I had to, there was very, very little that I could get from Whole Foods that was gluten-free,
right,
that an 8-year-old would want to eat. So right. I did everything from scratch, which is why, when they came out with the easier way to bake gluten-free, like, it's a win. Like, everybody can do this now.
Yeah.
So, but I was my own test subject, and something still wasn't right. Now, I have 2 autoimmune conditions, and I have had those for maybe 10 years now, and I have not gotten any more. I believe the reason why is because after a year of just eating sprouted grains occasionally, something still wasn't right. And I knew that. And that's, again, why you and I both educate on listen to your own body, find out what your body needs, not what Aunt Sally and everybody else. You've got to do the work to find out what your body needs. Once I fully went gluten-free, all those other little nagging symptoms went away.
Exactly.
And I truly believe that is why, along with my nutrition and my lifestyle and just how I live, is why I have not developed more autoimmune. Because what are we up to now, Dr. Tom? Over 100 autoimmune conditions right now?
Yeah, and every autoimmune disease is going up 4 to 9% a year, every year. Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. And you can't be a little pregnant.
Right.
You can't have a little wheat. You can't. And by the way, I just need to comment here and say all of your autoimmune diseases should be in remission. And if you still have elevated antibodies in an autoimmune condition, you're missing something.
Yeah.
And so I don't want people to go away thinking it's okay to have an autoimmune disease and not feel too bad. It's not okay.
Right.
Because
exactly.
The primary goal is extending the healthy lifespan, so it's closer to the total lifespan. And that doesn't happen when you've got elevated antibodies to your own tissue, killing off tissue. By definition, killing off tissue, killing off tissue, killing off tissue. By definition. That's why they're elevated. You're killing off more cells than you're making. And so,
And that's so true. And I literally just got lab work from myself and my husband, and I was like, okay, what are we missing? Something's not right, So you're right. I mean, we have to keep digging. We have to. There's no easy button. There is no easy button for longevity and for feeling good and being good and having optimal health. You have to do the work.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay to be curious, but if you're not serious about doing the work, think about, where do you want to be in 5 years?
Yeah.
Where do you want your health to be? Where do you want your energy to be? Are you looking forward to grandchildren like I am? Like, I want to be able to play with my grandkids. I want to be able to be on the floor and be able to run with them in the backyard and go hiking. And, what do you want out of your life?
What's your vision? Right.
Vision. What is your vision? It's so, so important. So
my vision is that I want to shake it up on the dance floor at my son's wedding. Now, my son is 3, right? So I've got about 25 years here that I got to wait, and I'm 72. So that means that there's I need to keep my healthy lifespan really close to the total lifespan.
Well, you're doing a phenomenal job for sure. And I've just been so grateful for all the information that you pour into us. But like I tell my clients, information without implementation, it's just information. So take what you learn. Right. So, and that's where they're actually being able to move the needle as they are working with a practitioner. So I think that's wonderful. We could talk for another hour, but I will not do that to you. So I really appreciate you taking so much time with us, Dr. Tom. This has been really powerful, really informative, really powerful. Would you leave our listeners with a little bit of encouragement, a treasured truth?
A treasured truth.
Treasured truth.
Let's see. I'm going to pull up one more slide for you. Let me bring it up here, and because it really gives the message of what's required. So now let's go back to share screen again, and let me see if I can bring that up here, and we'll do this one and share screen, and let's bring it here. And this is the one that I want to say to you, is that we have to think outside the box. If you want a different result, you have to think differently. And that's what's needed to extend the healthy lifespan closer to your total lifespan. And the way you do that is by remembering it's base hits that win the ball game. It's all of the little things you do that turn the direction of your health accumulatively. There's no magic pill, no magic button. You've got to realign your thinking. Base hits win the ball game. Do the little things. Get glass storage containers. Get houseplants. NASA did the study on houseplants that showed they absorb 74% of the toxins in the air. NASA published.
That was a great study. Yeah.
Yes. So you go to my website, thedr.com/plant, and you download the handout on plants. And you say, oh, I've seen those before. Go get them. And 2 6-inch houseplants in a 10 by 10 room absorbs over 74% of the toxins in the air. So you get, little houseplants. They're not expensive. And you say, oh, I don't have a green thumb. They're going to die. Then you're going to buy more because you're filtering the air for your children. That's what you want to think about, is all the little things you can do that will move. Last thought, think of a snowball going downhill in a cartoon. As it's coming down the hill, it gets bigger and it's going faster. It gets bigger and going faster. That's your health right now. When you do the NeuroZoomer Plus brain test and you see, oh my God, look at all the inflammation in my brain. It's like, whoa, that snowball is really going downhill. And there's no way to do this. There's no way. There's no pill. There's never been a pill for that. The best that you can do is taper and then start rolling back uphill. That's the goal. And it takes a wise person to embrace that, because we've all been raised with the idea of, I want it now. I want to feel better today. So base hits win the ball game, baby steps. It's finding out how you got to where you are, by which you and your healthcare practitioner can figure out what it's going to take to get you well.
I love that. That was a beautiful example. Absolutely. It's so doable, right? It is so doable. You just, I dive into mindset because mindset is a big part of it too, right? Because we got to change our mindset about this. We can't, there is no easy button. We've got to change our mindset and be ready to do the work and then reap the rewards, because your body is waiting for you to start treating it, like a temple, is like I say. And so thank you so much, Dr. Tom, for coming on the show. It has been such a pleasure to talk with you and share you with my listeners. And I will be linking your contact information in the description, in the show notes, and the docuseries. So it has been a true honor and so much fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Wow, wasn't that an amazing interview? He is seriously a wealth of information, and this has been his life's work. I know that this 2-part interview was a lot of information, like a ton of information. And I do not want you ever feeling overwhelmed by what you are hearing. And the reality is, information alone doesn't get you that transformation you are seeking. But that's okay, because this is why you have me in your back pocket as your coach as we work through your specific health concerns. So you can stop Googling and filling up on overwhelming information and then trying your very best to do all the things that you are reading and hearing and getting discouraged and overwhelmed and frustrated, and you just give up. No, we keep it simple. And we reduce the overwhelm. And that actually helps your body also to heal and recover. So like I tell my clients in the Midlife Health Makeover, your body needs to feel safe and secure. I was just having this conversation today with a client. Your body needs to trust you before it can begin healing. And in the makeover, we go through ways that you do that together. You are not on your own island trying to figure this all out on your own. I know how that feels. I really do. I was there. And that is why I do what I do and why I've created my specific method to help you recover. Using my advanced biblical mindset model and fatigue recovery framework, including the ABCs of adrenal support, you will have all that you need to restore yourself back to balance and great health and truly master your midlife health. You know that longevity Dr. Tom was talking about? That can be yours. So, but you got to be willing to put the work into it, right? There is no easy button like we talked about. So I do invite you to join me on a complimentary fatigue freedom call where we will discuss your specific fatigue concerns so that you're really understanding the why behind your low energy and really all that's coming with that daily fatigue, the foggy thinking, that lack of interest, your lack of joy, and just a whole lot of stress around what is going on in your health. And you can begin to have that hope that you can wake up feeling rested, remembering important names, having energy in the afternoon, having energy when you get home from work to do what you want to do, just like my client that I mentioned earlier. So because you are here, I know that's what you want. So don't hesitate any longer. The link will be in the description below. And I want to close with a passage in Ephesians 3. For this reason, I kneel before the Father, from whom every family in heaven and on earth derives its name. I pray that out of his glorious riches he may strengthen you with power through his Spirit in your inner being, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith. And I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power, together with all the Lord's holy people, to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ, and to know this love that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled to the measure of all the fullness of God. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us, to him be glory in the church and in Christ Jesus, throughout all generations, forever and ever. Amen. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, my friend. I hope it challenged you. I hope it encouraged you and stretched you in some way. And if it did, would you stop right now and share this episode with a coworker, a biz bestie, a friend, or sister who has also been praying for a breakthrough in her whole health? Also, it would bless me so much if you would pop on over to Apple Podcasts and just leave me a quick review to let me know how much you are enjoying the content. And this really does help other women just like you to find the show. Treasured Wellness can also be found on Christian Mix 106 and over on YouTube. One more thing, come on over to our Facebook community, Holistic Health for Christian Women Over 40. I would love to see you there. Until next time, remember you are a beautiful treasure, and good health in body, soul, and spirit is your birthright.